When a woman truly learns to master her emotions and reconnect with her authentic worth, she no longer needs to beg for love. She awakens it naturally, quietly, without force. And the most incredible part, she doesn't chase it anymore. Love finds its way back to her on its own. This isn't some kind of magical thinking. It's rooted in psychology. You know that feeling. Sister, the one where you feel replaced, discarded like a forgotten piece of furniture. No explanation, no closure. Just silence, where once there was connection. But hear me clearly. This isn't your ending. This is the birthplace of a new version of you. Because what you choose to do now, in this space of emptiness, will shape everything that follows. It will decide whether you collapse or rise, whether you shrink or are reborn. If this message stirred something quiet inside you, stay with us. Subscribe to the channel where silence speaks and the soul is never alone. Most people fall into the same predictable trap. They chase. They send message after message, like the phone has become a desperate extension of their worth. They plead. They justify. They humiliate themselves for crumbs of attention. And every attempt, every single one, drains their value a little more. It's like trying to put out a fire using emotional gasoline. You just make the flames worse. Sound familiar? Don't feel ashamed. You are not alone. But now is the moment to break the old rules, to change the game completely. Because today, you'll learn why silence, detachment, and rebirth aren't just motivational buzzwords. They are psychological weapons, emotional armor, inner fire. And no, you don't need to become a spiritual guru or binge read 100 self-help books. You only need one thing: courage. The courage to behave differently, to act from your center instead of your wounds. Because the woman who stops begging for love, she becomes the woman who naturally attracts it without speaking, without chasing, just through the quiet strength of her presence. Stay until the end. Because this message is not for those who beg emotionally. It's for the woman ready to transform so deeply, so authentically, that even the past stops and turns around to look at her again. And understand this, it's not about him. It never was. It's about you, about your return to your own center, your reconnection with the part of yourself that was never missing, only forgotten. Because the very instant you stop needing him, that's the moment he begins to feel he needs you. Lesson number 1. The power of emotional silence. That kind of silence that thunders louder than 1,000 pleading texts. Have you ever felt like the more you talk, the less you're actually heard? Let me tell you something. Sister, silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. When he left, chances are you did what most people do. You reached out. You asked for answers. You begged for just one more chance. But all that noise only confirmed something in his mind, that walking away was the right decision. Do you know why? Because that noise reeked of desperation. And desperation, sister, is the most repelling perfume any woman could wear. Now listen closely. When you choose silence, it doesn't mean you disappear. It means you leave a deeper impression. Emotional silence isn't weakness. It's simply the refusal to feed a fire that only ever burned you. When someone becomes used to your constant presence, your texts, your availability, your absence starts to feel heavier than any words you could say. Suddenly, he begins to wonder, why isn't she reaching out? Doesn't she need me anymore? Has someone else taken my place? It's like walking through a street that's always been filled with noise. And then, one day, it's silent. You stop. You feel something is missing. That's how intelligent detachment works. It's not abandonment. It's contrast. And contrast makes people take notice. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "First understand the meaning of what you want to say, then speak." In this case, first understand what your silence conveys, and then let him sit with it. Let him wrestle with the space you've left behind. Let him fill in the blanks, because when you don't offer an explanation, his imagination starts writing its own story. And sister, that's no accident. That's emotional strategy. This isn't news to women who've learned emotional self-mastery. Do you know what happens when a woman who always replied immediately suddenly goes quiet? She creates a void, and human nature hates a void. We are wired to fill what's empty. That same man who once ignored your messages without hesitation will suddenly feel unsettled. Something has changed. He won't know exactly what, but he'll feel it. You're no longer his emotional crutch. You're no longer the one building him up, cheering him on, reminding him of how special he is. Without realizing it, you become a recurring thought in his mind, an unanswered question. Let me tell you the story of a real girl. She got blocked on every social media platform. You know what she did? Nothing. She didn't retaliate, didn't post about it, didn't beg, didn't send long paragraphs, not even a birthday meme. Total silence. What did she focus on instead? Herself, her body, her money, her mindset. 2 months later, guess what? He came back with a weak excuse. "I had a dream about you." That wasn't magic. That was the psychological power of silence, used with intention. Because silence doesn't just express something, it reshapes everything. While she said nothing, she was rebuilding. She was remembering the parts of herself she had buried in the effort to please him. And when you do that inner work, the outside changes automatically. Your energy, your posture, the way your eyes meet the world. And that, sister, that energy, he feels it, even if he's on the other side of the planet. Silence isn't passivity. It's power, concentrated and quiet. An emotional time bomb ticking under control. Delete that urge to send a text today. No good morning, no memes, no cryptic hints, nothing. Make yourself emotionally unavailable. Delete him if you need to. Not to forget him, but to remind yourself that you won't waste sacred energy on someone who doesn't see its worth. And while you hold that silence, evolve. Every day of not speaking should equal 10 steps of inner transformation. Think about it. Every time you send a message, every time you try to explain or justify, you're silently screaming, "I need you more than I need myself." And that message, that invisible energy, is what repels him. Because the hard truth is, we are all, without exception, drawn to what's rare. Not to what's handed over freely, not to what sits waiting, endlessly available. We desire what we have to reach for, what we might not be able to keep. And the woman who masters this truth stops begging and begins to radiate. From within, silently, powerfully. Strategic silence functions like a soul-level detox, a kind of emotional diet. At first, it feels unnatural. It stings. It frustrates. But with time, it strengthens you, centers you, transforms you from the inside out. And this new kind of energy, this silent frequency you're now vibrating on, it doesn't go unnoticed. It's like you're transmitting a message no one can hear, but everyone can feel. I am whole within myself. So stop explaining. Stop trying to convince him with more words. Let your absence speak louder than any argument. Because here's the truth. The woman who stays silent commands attention. The one who chases repels it, and the one who grows quietly, deliberately. She becomes unforgettable. Stop raising your voice in places where no one's truly listening. Start cultivating a silence so clear, so intentional, that he can't help but be pulled toward it. Lesson 2. Reverse psychology without the games. Because the moment you emotionally withdraw, he instinctively moves closer. Has it ever happened to you? That strange timing, he reappears right when you've let go. That's no coincidence. But here's where many women misinterpret what's happening. They mistake detachment for apathy. But real detachment is not indifference. It's influence. When you pull your energy back, when you stop offering your attention, something shifts inside the male mind. Suddenly, you're no longer predictable. You're no longer easy to access. You become unfamiliar, a mystery, and the human brain, especially his, loathes the unknown. See, attention builds habit. It becomes an expectation. But when that rhythm is broken, when you're suddenly absent, he feels it, even if he can't name it. That, sister, is true reverse psychology. Not manipulation, but movement. A shift in the emotional current that shows without saying a word that you're no longer emotionally where he left you. You're not ignoring him to punish. You're not pulling back out of pride. You're doing it out of wisdom, because anyone who didn't value you while you were there deserves to feel what your absence truly costs. It's like removing sugar from the coffee of someone who's known nothing but sweetness. They may not understand what's missing right away, but they'll feel it. They'll miss the flavor, even if they pretend they don't. And it's that subtle change, that interruption in pattern, that awakens something ancient in the male psyche. The hunting instinct. When something escapes, becomes scarce. The instinct isn't to forget, it's to chase. Not because he's weak, but because he's human. And men evolutionarily are wired to pursue what seems just out of reach. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. What does that mean here? It means you don't stoop, you don't beg, you don't plead for validation like everyone else. You don't meet disrespect with drama. You meet it with calm, with clarity, with the emergence of a new version of yourself, one he never expected. You're no longer reactive. You're strategic. And that grounded stillness, that cool composure, it knocks people off balance. Reverse psychology works because it flips the dynamic. It reverses the flow of power. Think about it. When someone chases you, who's in control? You are. You decide when to respond, how much to give, whether to show up or remain silent. But if you've always been the one reaching out, the one initiating, and then you suddenly go silent, the control shifts. Now he's the one wondering, where did she go? Why hasn't she messaged? What changed? That shift in energy creates tension, and that tension, if held, creates connection. Let me tell you a real story. A girl used to write poems soaked in pain, post late-night cryptic messages, dedicate songs through her stories, all aching for him to notice. Then one day, she stopped. She signed up at the gym, started building her business, emotionally vanished. And 2 weeks later, despite being with another woman, he messaged her. Just a simple line, "Are you okay?" But that message wasn't really concern. It was discomfort. His inner unease reacting to her transformation. Because when your energy changes, when you are no longer energetically available, you disrupt the balance he was counting on. And humans will always try to restore what they feel slipping away. That imbalance. It becomes irresistible. So live it. Practice real, unapologetic, no contact, no sneaky glances, no checking his feed, no mutual friends updates. Don't look for signs. Don't try to decode his stories. Live your life. Turn every minute without him into a step of personal evolution. Your distance is not detachment. It's repositioning, not just in how you interact, but in how you see yourself. It's a silent but powerful declaration. I'm no longer standing in the place you left me. You are realigning your thoughts, redefining your standards, reorganizing your values. You're not the girl waiting on a message. You are the woman carving out her own way. And that, sister, is magnetic. Stop aiming to be remembered. Become unforgettable. Because when your energy shifts, so does the entire game. You weren't born to be someone's backup plan. You're not here to be a convenient option. You are here to become the woman who no longer begs. Because now she's the one being chosen. Lesson 3. The secret weapon of emotional scarcity. What is rare becomes desirable. Because what we can't have. That's exactly what we obsess over. There's a timeless rule that never fails. Abundance dilutes value. It applies to everything. Money, time, people. When you're always available, the first to message, the one who checks in, the one who asks how he's doing, he adjusts to it. He stops noticing. Because what's consistent, what becomes routine, becomes background noise. Do you ever appreciate the air you breathe? Probably not, because it's always there. But lose your breath, just for a few seconds, and suddenly, it becomes the most precious thing in the world. Your emotional presence works the same way. When you're always there, you blend into the atmosphere, invisible. But when you disrupt that flow, when you stop showing up, stop giving your attention freely, it activates something primal. His mind begins to spin with questions. Why did she disappear? What changed? Does she still care? Has someone else taken my place? And here's the twist. That swirling confusion, that uncertainty. It's more powerful than any love letter. Because now you're not familiar. You're a riddle, a gap in the pattern, like a plant that always bloomed, and then suddenly withers. Only then do people notice the loss. Like bread always sitting on the table, ignored until one day it's gone. And now everyone wants a bite. This isn't manipulation. This is real wise women live by it. Because when something becomes rare, its value skyrockets, and your attention, your presence, your love are no exception. Why did she vanish? What changed? Did she stop loving me? That whirlpool of questions, that uneasy tension of not knowing. It's more powerful than any love poem, more piercing than any romantic message. Because now, you are no longer predictable. You're no longer a pattern he understands. You've become a mystery, like a plant that was always lush and green, until one day without warning it withers. And only then do people notice its beauty. Only then do they realize what they once had. Or like the bread that always sat untouched on the table, ignored, taken for granted until it's gone. And suddenly, everyone craves a taste. This isn't a mind game. This is a universal principle. Lesson 4. The law of scarcity. Economists teach it. Psychologists prove it. And wise women live by it. Because when something becomes scarce, its perceived value increases exponentially. And your energy, your attention, your presence, they are no exception. As Esco once said, we don't appreciate what we have until we lose it. But hear this clearly. The truly stoic woman does not act to be appreciated. She acts to remain centered. She doesn't chase validation. She simply becomes the woman whose presence is noticed and whose absence echoes. And this law of scarcity, it reaches far beyond love. It applies to every part of life. Have you noticed the most respected people, the most admired? They are always the ones in high demand, the ones with boundaries, the ones who value their time. And their limited availability only makes others value them more. That's not coincidence. That's power. There was once a woman who was always there. She replied instantly. She called often, did favors without question. She was present 24/7, and she was taken for granted, until the day she stopped. She had enough. She pulled back quietly, no drama, no bitterness. She didn't block him. She didn't leave angry quotes or vague posts. She simply disappeared and started showing up, but for herself. She posted photos of her workouts, her travels, her progress, her glow-up. She became unreachable, not out of spite, but out of evolution. And the result? He came back, confused, shaky, grasping for any excuse to reconnect. But it was too late. She was no longer emotionally there, and that invisible wall of indifference was far more powerful than any angry message, more final than any door slammed shut. Do you see the pattern now? Abundance breeds indifference. Scarcity breeds urgency. When you were always available, he could afford to ignore you. He assumed you'd always be there. But when you go silent, when you retreat, when your emotional presence becomes a rare thing, his mind starts racing, nonstop. You are no longer a guarantee. You are a question mark, a missed opportunity. And that kind of uncertainty, that kind of mental dissonance creates a deep restlessness, the kind of restlessness that no pleading text could ever provoke. So today, start limiting your availability. Don't reply instantly. Don't be constantly reachable. Tune into yourself, not to manipulate, not to play small games, but because you're building something greater now. You, if he wants to know what's going on with you, let him put in the effort. Let him work to meet the new you. And don't pretend to be scarce. Be genuinely invested in your own journey. This isn't about faking mystery or withholding affection for attention. It's about understanding your time, your energy, your focus. They now belong to you, to your growth, to your goals, to your inner peace. And when your focus turns inward, when you truly dive into your own development, emotional scarcity happens on its own. You don't have time to beg for crumbs. When you're busy building a kingdom, being emotionally scarce is not being cold, it's being wise. It's emotional intelligence in its highest form. Because while others chase noise, you move with quiet intention towards your center. And that grace, that grounded energy is not only visible, it's magnetic. Stop giving away your energy as if it had no worth. Become so centered, so radiant, so focused, that even if he tries to ignore you, he can't. Lesson 5. Personal rebirth. Personal rebirth is not a clever trick. It's not some Instagram glow-up story. It's a necessity, a quiet, sacred urgency that arises from deep within your soul. Because if you stay the same, if you remain emotionally dependent, clinging, empty, then every attempt to reconnect won't feel like strength. It'll read as desperation, just better disguised. But when you begin the work, the real work of rebuilding yourself from the pain, bit by bit, day by day, something inside you changes. And that change is real. It's tangible. Even if he doesn't see you, even if you haven't spoken, he will feel it. Energy doesn't need to be sent through a text. It's felt, like a home that was once crumbling, walls cracked, windows shattered, but months later, now standing rebuilt, majestic. He who saw it destroyed can't help but stare in awe. And that, sister, that is you. Not just a painted version of who you used to be, but a rebuilt foundation, a resurrection of your dignity, your self-worth, your essence. Because this journey, it's not about makeup, it's not about inspirational captions. Those are just emotional filters, cosmetic fixes. What truly matters is what's beneath. The peace you now feel when you're alone. The strength that grew in your silence. The parts of you found when you stopped orbiting around someone else. True personal rebirth is an alchemical act. It's turning the lead of pain into the gold of wisdom. And that can't be faked. It can't be rushed. And it can't be bought. It requires inner work, real work. Looking in the mirror, facing the shadows, healing the wounds, calming the fears. And every step you take on this road moves you further from the version of you that once begged to be seen, and closer to the version that shines on her own. As Seneca said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. That is what rebirth really means. Knowing deep down that it's never too late to become the most powerful version of yourself. And that pain you thought was your punishment, it was your guide. It wasn't there to break you. It was there to awaken you. A girl was left, alone. Right after losing her job, she fell apart, hit rock bottom. But she didn't stay there. She changed her body, learned new skills, built her own project. She rose, and a year later, he came back. Do you know what she said? Thank you. Because without that break, she never would have discovered her own strength. He returned searching for the woman he once knew, but she no longer existed. In her place stood someone entirely new, stronger, focused, unreachable. And this is not rare. It's not the exception. It's a path. One many have walked. One you can walk too. Because rejection, it's not the end. It's the threshold. The start of something new. The pain of a breakup, if you use it correctly, can become the most powerful fuel for personal transformation. But only if you use it as gasoline, not as an excuse. And here's the most beautiful, most liberating truth over time. You stop caring whether he comes back. Not because you've hardened, but because you realize you were never really seeking his approval. You were searching for your own. The real love you needed to reclaim was the one you had forgotten to give yourself. So start today. Make a list. What do you want to improve? Your body, your mindset, your habits, your goals? Write it all down, then work on them. Every single day. Not for him, for you. Because when you become unreachable, people start looking for you. And if they return, it won't be because they need you. It will be because they admire who you've become. Personal rebirth is the hardest journey, but it's also the most rewarding. Because while others are waiting for a text message, you are waiting for results. While some beg for attention, you're cultivating inner strength. And that, sister, that is the quiet line that separates the one who pleads from the one who decides. Don't ask for a second chance. Rebuild yourself so powerfully that he wishes he could have one. And if that day comes, you are the one who gets to decide. Because the woman who evolves doesn't ask. She chooses. Lesson 6. The Trap of Contact and the Magnetic Power of Silence. What he doesn't know about you drives him insane. After a breakup, many fall for the same trap, keeping the connection, staying around, remaining visible. They believe if they just stay close enough, if they show him their best side, if they remain present long enough, he'll come to realize what he'd lost. But here's the mistake. Staying in contact only does one thing. It keeps him comfortable. As long as he knows you're still there, just a message away, not fully gone. There's no sense of urgency, no emotional tension, no perceived loss. And what's always available, sister, is never truly valued. Do you know what holds real power? Pure silence, not angry silence, not manipulative silence, not blocked accounts and loud exits, but pure emotional disappearance. No contact, no messages, no reactions, nothing. Because when your energy vanishes, when you stop existing in his orbit, his imagination takes the wheel. And let me tell you, the male mind, when it has no answers, starts making up stories. Is she with someone else? Did she move on? Why isn't she reaching out? Has she forgotten me? This isn't indifference. It's desire masquerading as doubt. It's like a beloved series that suddenly stops releasing episodes. The audience loses its mind. They search for spoilers. They write theories. They obsess. The same thing happens when you disappear. Without warning, without drama, you become the unfinished story. And let me tell you something. Unfinished stories are dangerously addictive. The human mind is designed to finish what's incomplete, to close loops, to fill in the blanks. And when you cut contact, no cryptic posts, no passive-aggressive signals, just honest silence. You create a void he has to fill. And what that silence triggers in him is something no message of yours ever could. Because when you're quiet, his mind starts speaking. And what he projects onto your absence, his fears, his desires, his regrets becomes louder than anything you ever said. Silence is not nothing. It's a blank canvas, and he paints on it with his own emotions. Epictetus said it perfectly. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. That applies here too. Don't explain your distance. Don't announce your withdrawal. Don't ask permission to leave the stage. Just go. With grace. With dignity. Be silent. Be elegant. Let the silence speak for you. Because silence doesn't need to be justified. Silence just works. There's a story. A guy blocked his ex on everything. Instagram, WhatsApp, phone. And you know what she did. Absolutely nothing. No attempts to reach him. No just checking in messages. No tearful stories. No manipulation. Just silence. She focused on herself. She grew. She healed. She evolved. Months later, he messaged her from a fake account. Hey, how are you? Coincidence not at all. That's not random. That's psychology. When you cut access, you create obsession, because what we cannot have, that's what we desire most. And this works because it touches something ancient, something primal, the fear of permanent loss. As long as you're available, he knows he has time, he has control, he has options. But when you vanish completely, without explanation, without making a scene, his brain panics. That fear of losing you forever is more powerful than love, more compelling than regret, more motivating than guilt. No likes. No how are you. No I saw your story. Nothing. Total silence. And while you're in that silence, don't just sit still. Do something worthy of your absence. Learn something new. Train, build, heal, grow. Because if you ever return, you cannot be the same woman he left behind. You have to become someone who leaves him speechless. This silence you've chosen, it's not passive. It's not void. It's alive. It's charged with power. You're not sitting around, waiting for his return. You're building a life so vibrant, so grounded, so full of purpose, that his presence or absence no longer defines your joy. Because the one who chases creates anxiety, but the one who disappears, she creates curiosity. And curiosity is the doorway to desire. As long as you're still talking, still visible, still responding, he has no reason to miss you. But when you go quiet, truly quiet, he starts screaming on the inside. Never forget, magnetic silence isn't a tactic. It's not a ploy to win him back. It's a lifestyle, a mindset, a new foundation where you no longer need his attention to feel whole. Because the woman who rebuilds herself in silence becomes unforgettable. The nights soaked with tears, the mornings clouded with fear, the long empty days filled with quiet doubt, all of it every moment is part of the process. Don't deny it. Don't suppress it. Don't try to outrun it. Live through it. Breathe through it. Because every single tear is not weakness. It's a seed. Every moment of silence is not absence. It's an act of self-love. Every day you go without reaching out, without chasing, without checking your phone, is a quiet declaration to the universe. I will no longer abandon myself for anyone. Do you know what the most powerful part of this entire transformation is? It's the moment you realize you're no longer pretending to be okay. You are okay. You're no longer acting strong. You have become strong. You're no longer obsessing over how to get him back. You're focused now fully on never losing yourself again. And that, sister, is what true rebirth really looks like. Not the kind of change meant to impress him, but the kind that sets your soul free. He doesn't come back because you reached for him, because you called. He comes back because one day he realizes the woman he walked away from no longer exists. And if he does return, it won't be his decision anymore. It will be yours. Because the one who used to beg for his love has vanished. And in her place now stands a woman whole, centered, unshakably free. So the next time your chest aches and you think you miss him, pause. Ask yourself quietly, do I truly miss him, or do I miss the version of me that lost herself while trying to hold on to him? Remind yourself not just once, but every single day. You are not alone. You have yourself. And when you truly have yourself, you already possess everything you've ever needed. Don't be afraid of the pain. Be afraid of staying stuck in it, because pain that isn't transformed becomes resentment. But pain that's consciously felt, patiently processed, becomes wisdom. Today is not about strategizing how to win him back. Today is about ensuring that from this point on, you never again lose yourself for the sake of anyone. This moment, this pain, is the fork in your story. It's the turning point. And what you choose to do with it will define everything that follows. You will either break or be reborn as a woman who can never again be replaced. And if, after all this, he does come back, he won't be returning to the same woman, because you won't be standing there waiting, hoping, with your heart in your hands and your arms wide open, you'll be standing in your center, clear, focused, rooted in your growth, devoted to your goals, aligned with yourself. And from that deep, grounded fullness, you will finally hold the power to decide if he even deserves a place in the life you've rebuilt. So tell me, at what moment in this video did it feel like I was speaking directly to your heart? If this message stirred something quiet inside you, subscribe to the channel where silence speaks, and the soul is never alone. Which sentence echoed in your mind? Like something you didn't even know you needed to hear? Your story, yes. Your story can inspire other women, women who right now are standing in the same pain you stood in yesterday,